journalist.
Hello, I am Ellie Richardson and you are watching another episode of Explained with me. Today we discuss Chinese journalists being held for exposing Graft. Reporters Without Borders said on February the 3rd that 2 independent journalists were detained by Chinese officials after they published a report alleging corruption by a local official in southern western China. Police in Chengdu said they were investigating a 50-year-old man surnamed Liu and a 34-year-old surnamed Wu on suspicion of making false accusations and conducting illegal business operations. Authorities said that they were placed under criminal coercive measures, a term typically referring to detention. Chinese media and RSF identified the 2 journalists as Liu Hu and Wu Yingqiao. The arrests followed the January 29th publication of a co-authored investigative report on the social media platform WeChat, which examined alleged corruption involving Pu Feiyo, the Communist Party's Secretary of Puzhang County in Sichuan. The report has since been deleted from WeChat, a common step taken by censors in cases involving sensitive government exposures. But who are these journalists that have been detained? Liu, a prominent investigative reporter in China, was previously arrested in 2013 on suspicion of defamation after accusing a high-ranking official of corruption. After his release in 2014, he continued his investigations and published his reports on social media. Wu is frequently listed as Liu's collaborator on a public WeChat account where Liu and other journalists post news articles. According to Chinese human rights defenders, which is a coalition of Chinese and international activists and groups, Liu had planned to take a train from his home city of Chongqing to capital Beijing on February the 1st, where he went missing. Wu was taken by police in Hebei province on the same day, the group said. The title of the report had referred to businesses driven to bankruptcy due to the officials' actions. According to Reporters Without Borders, before Liu's arrest this week, he had posted to WeChat several messages he had received from a Chengdu disciplinary inspection official, urging him to contact authorities rather than publish reports in the media. But this is not an isolated case. Journalists have been detained in China previously as well. One of the most infamous cases has been that of Zhang, a former lawyer who became a citizen journalist. Zhang previously served a full 4-year sentence for her reporting on the COVID-19 outbreak in Wuhan, where she documented overcrowded hospitals and the harassment of families affected by the virus. She was released in May 2024, but her freedom lasted less than 4 months. In August, she travelled to Kansu to show solidarity with the family of another detained activist. And on her way back to Shaanxi, she was intercepted by Shanghai police and taken more than 1,000 kilometers back to the Pudong New District Detention Center. In September 2025, Zhang was sentenced to another 4 years in prison in a closed-door trial, with foreign diplomats and supporters barred from attending. She was convicted on charges of picking quarrels and provoking trouble. Zhang's health remains critical. She has undertaken long-term hunger strikes to protest her detention and has been forcibly fed, and her weight has dropped dangerously low, previously reaching just 37 kilograms. Another prominent case is that of Shen Pinlan, a 33-year-old filmmaker who took a huge risk in documenting the White Paper protest in Shanghai. Shen's film, titled Not the Foreign Force or Umariki Middle Road, compiled footage from the protesters, including clips from the other citizens challenging the government's claims that the protests were orchestrated by foreign forces. He uploaded the 77-minute documentary to YouTube and X on the one-year anniversary of the protests in November 2023. On January the 6th, 2025, Shen was sentenced to 3 years and 6 months in prison after being accused of spreading fabricated false information and insulting national leaders. Although the prosecutor recommended a lighter 2-year sentence, the judge chose a harsher term, citing the need to deter other digital creators from speaking out against the government's narrative. Another case that is of Lu Hua. Lu, the founder of the independent news site Hubei New Perspective, has become a symbol of the dangers facing self-media in China. Lu exposed a local female official in Hubei and who allegedly used public funds to build luxurious private suites inside a government office building in April 2023. The story went viral but was quickly scrubbed from Chinese social media. Lu was arrested on April the 19th, 2023, and authorities accused him of running an extortion racket, claiming he threatened officials for advertising money. While his case was kept secret, reports in late 2024 and early 2025 revealed that Louis had been secretly sentenced to 10 years in prison, a penalty usually reserved for political supervision. This severe sentence sends a clear message against anti-corruption whistleblowers using social media to expose government abuses. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists 2025 prison census, China continues to be the world's most dangerous country for journalists, remaining the leading jailer of reporters for the third consecutive year. With at least 50 journalists behind bars, China holds the top spot, ahead of even North Korea and Eritrea. The country's press freedom ranking has dropped to 178th out of 180. The country's in the 2025 World Press Freedom Index. The majority of journalists in China face anti-state charges, such as picking quarrels or subserving state power. These vague laws enable authorities to imprison journalists indefinitely, without a formal trial date. The government has stepped up its crackdown on self-media independent social media accounts, requiring a government-approved permit to report on restricted topics, including current affairs and corruption. In 2025, China's Cyberspace Administration removed millions of social media posts and suspended thousands of accounts, often labeling investigative reporting as fabricating false information. The recent case of Louis and Wu is not an isolated event. Rights groups have regularly warned against the media crackdown in the country. Reporters Without Borders advocacy manager Alexandra Balawiska said in a statement that China has become increasingly restrictive and hostile towards independent reporting. The group also urged the international community to apply stronger pressure on the Chinese regime rather than normalise relations. The group also noted that more than 120 journalists are currently detained in China and called it the world's biggest jailer of reporters. That's all we have time for this episode of Xplained. Stay tuned as we bring you more in-depth insights and stories that matter.